Hey, Dale, your librarian here. If you want to reach out, write to me anytime, dale.larson@utah.edu. Um, PR campaigns are awesome because there's like so many examples out on the open web that you can glean. So looking for secondary research, we might use that to find keywords that we can go into the databases with. So let me show you how I would do that. We'll come back to the library homepage. And by the way, if you go out to the open web and you click on the off-campus access here, if you run into any scholarly articles out there, you might be good to go. It's like Google Scholar and things like that. So, first trick is I go to Google and I try and do what's called a contextual search. And so I did it right here, but I'll type it out. So if I want best practices, whatever I put after the colon, so I could do recipe, or I could do films, or I could do literature criticism. Whatever I put before the colon is the context that everything will search in. And so, right, I did social media corporation, but you could also do social media enterprise, or for-profit, or nonprofit. I mean, you get the idea. So this is how I would find more keywords, but you can also see examples, and there is even like some AI said, well, here's some things that you need to know. Set goals, what's that about? So there's brand guidelines is a keyword. Corporate comms, no, that wouldn't be it. Social media best practices, I saw guidelines somewhere. It looks like best practices is strong. UC Santa Barbara, oh, for the brand, so that's nonprofit. So you can start to see how are they talking about it. Okay. Maybe I'll try guidelines too. It seems like I got a different search. Be that as it may, feel free to go back and forth. And what I'm talking about in the back and forth is there's a few places I want you to try. I can recommend a list of things that you can try after I show you my first search. My first search will be in the library catalog, which kind of looks at everything, all the disciplines. It's not complete. There's databases, there's journals and things that might be missing, but there's like 100 million things in here. So we can put in some of those keywords, and I wrote it on another site. So if you've never been to a library class before, one tip is put stuff in quotes if it's more than one word, so those will stick together. Another one is put a star, and that'll catch, what do you call it? Words that have like suffix. So the prefix and the suffix. So if there's best practice or best practices, it'll catch those. And we also put in synonyms after an or. So I found guideline, star, or I also found brand guidelines, star. We don't know how the literature is going to talk about this because the literature goes back quite a ways. So that's one way to start out with. All the concepts are related, though, on each line. So this one, best practice guidelines. What do they call it when a graphic design? Oh, a style guide. Would they have a style guide? I'm not sure they would. But every time you run into another synonym or related term. Another one is, what are we looking, what's our group that we're looking this in? Is enterprise or business. I've been teaching today, so my typing is bad. Corporation or corporate or for-profit. I don't know if anyone's going to care about that one. So out of the 100 million things that are out there, newspapers, articles, book chapters, and things like that, we'll narrow it down to scholarship. What it's going to do is, out of the 100 million things, it's going to return everything that has best practice or guideline in it. And then out of that pile, it's going to then look for everything out of those that has business or corporation or something, blah, blah, blah. And then we can put in social media. Is there a particular social media you're interested in? There could also be like TikTok or Instagram, or examples of social media. Oh, Facebook. Facebook was so hot for so long, and now it's just kind of like, So one thing to be wary of is if you get too many things, and this is going to give us a lot of things, you can narrow down these searches into the title. And so it'll be more focused. I'll show you that in a second. But we'll just do any field, any item. So there's 6,000 results. When you're looking at these things, do you want scholarship that's specifically articles? You can narrow it down to this, like peer-reviewed journals, or you can narrow down to books. There are going to be some things, but they're going to be like terribly out of date. So I'd be wary about the books, unless it's a new one. You can also sort by date newest, but we haven't sorted it down because there's some stuff that we don't want in here yet. So let me do just peer-reviewed journals. Oh, platform policies. That sounds like more of like a user and administrator. Audience engagement. So this is not working. Let's go back and say, I want this to be one of the most important things that we find. So let's do any field is title. So the most important thing shows up in the title. Ooh, well, that's not quite related. That's not quite related. That's not related. So maybe we need social media in the title too. You see how we narrow it down. There's no right way of doing it. You just kind of keep on going through. Hey, oh, bump me back into books. Social Media Handbook from 2012. That's funny. Some of these might be out of the way. Hey, there's the AP style book. Oh, I didn't think of style book. I thought of style guide. And then you can go down to peer-reviewed journals again. What you'll have to do at this point, since we've narrowed down to the title, is you'll have to go through, and there's only 43, and maybe sort those by date newest, is you may have to go through and see with you and your group what resonates with you. So guidelines for brand posts, this would support maybe what you're looking for, and you can see where it's coming from. Journal of Consumer Behavior. Fascinating thing, I just heard that the Taylor Swift effect, dating Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl, made it so sexist or gender discriminatory ads went down because they're like, oh, there's this new audience that might care if we have a sexist joke or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So those are guidelines for advertisers that maybe they're implementing in the back. So how would you find those? Those would be case studies. And some of them are going to be like hypothetical in psychology. So this is like looking at particular incidences of behavior. But some of them might be particular companies. So you'll have to dig through and see what interests you. You know, just go through and click on them. Oh, here's just a generic one. That doesn't sound great, but maybe it is. Who knows? You get to decide what works. Using this system, let's go to, I have it in another one. Let's go to the library homepage and I'll show you the databases you can go into by subject, but I have a curated list that I think you can use instead of hunting around because there's like 450 of them. So if you go to research guides and you type in, if you don't see my picture, you can type in communication. And then in my communication guide, I have something that's PhD and Masters, and it'll be this URL right here if you don't want to go through all the pain of going through those clicks. And what we did at the beginning is we validated keywords. So going back and forth and figuring out who's writing about what. There might be a particular case study where somebody broke a brand with policy that they hadn't implemented yet. But then the discipline-specific research, these are databases. So Common Mass Media Complete, everyone loves that one. That'll be good because that'll have some of the StratComm. But Sociological Abstracts is going to talk maybe more towards the nonprofit. PsycInfo, less so, less so. There's a business database, more so. PAIS is public policy. Those might be the best to go to. And then the last one I wanted to show you is high-level systematic search tools. I'll show you Scopus. So if you get too many, here's how you narrow it down to the best ones, or how you know which ones are the best. for doing your research. This might be overkill, so if you're bored, you can stop the video here. Scopus and Web of Science allow you to do a search, but it allows you to find what the most important articles are. And how that's determined is by how many times something gets cited. So if I publish an article on a cure for cancer and no one ever cites it, that means it was total bunk and it didn't make an impact. But if I do something that has like 10,000 articles citing it, that means, oh, it had impact, it made a difference. So I'm going to do title for that, and title for that. You can go into abstract too. Let's do abstract. Won't narrow us down so much. I'll do abstract for this one too. This is all scholarly all the time in Scopus. Oh, cool. Muslim-friendly accommodation recognition. So there's like religion, who knows? But do you see over here where it says citations? That's the number of times that something has been cited. And this was just published, so it's not a shame that they haven't been cited. But we can say what has been cited the highest. And that means this article is so important. And somewhere in here it talks about managing of like a brand identity or something like that. It's so important that it was cited this many times. Oh, here's analysis. No, I don't know if that's related to anything we're looking at. Maybe it is. Business value, social media. Oh, Lord. Let's go back to the article title. Let's go for the gold. I don't want theory. I want the best stuff. Social media and dietetics practitioner. No, but yes. Informing crisis alerts. No. Educational. No. I'm looking for for-profit. Loose tweets, sync fleets. I love it. Journal of Public Affairs. Okay. Just for fun, let's say this was a good one. If you go in here, in this particular database, you have to find it under full text options and click find it. And then it might send you to the full text. If you can't get full text, you send me an email or go to Interlibrary Loan. But you just have to click like mad through lists of databases until it gives you the full text. Yay! So there's that one. Loose tweets, sync fleets. Oh my God, that is the best line ever. What you can do is if that, where did my loose tweets? Okay, if this one's good, but it was published in 2015, all these 31 articles that cited it are probably really good too. And you can sort those by number of times cited. And then all of a sudden we have the most impactful literature. No, maybe there's people infringing on it. I don't know, maybe this didn't work out. Oh yeah, there's another one, brand ambassadorship. So there's another keyword if we're going back to our search. Maybe brand ambassadorship. I mean, you get the idea, you type it in there. As you work on this, if you run stuck on anything, send me an email and I'm happy to help.